What's up, Focus fam? It is Chan. Happy Wednesday, guys. Welcome to the Wednesday review. Hope you're having a good week. As always, getting a little bit better. In this video, we're going to break down, as always, the market, take a look at what's going on, lay out a few theses, and then I'm going to share a few setups that I'm personally watching for the rest of the week that hopefully you guys can go out there and crush. But let's dive in, guys, because market's at some really good levels, setting up really nicely here for the next leg. Let's talk about it. So one thing, guys, that we want to, really realize is we got to flip the script here, at least for now, where this year it's been a buy the dip mentality, right? We're trending completely up. Every dip gets bought, it gets bought at the daily cloud, et cetera, et cetera. This is the first time as of recent that we're starting to trend down. And we really, again, need to flip the script and understand that when the market does pop, it's actually just setting up a better short opportunity. So as opposed to buying the dips like we're used to, we want to look to short the pops, at least for now. This doesn't mean, guys, there's not opportunity to the upside. This doesn't mean you can't play to the upside. What I want to share here is when we pop and get near really big levels, I'm personally looking to short them rather than looking for them to break out. Just like buying the dip, I keep buying the dip until it starts to break it and we go the other direction. And then we switch to shorting the pops. So if we look at recent price action, guys, we're setting up a really nice pattern here. We had that really big drop to initially kind of start this, downtrend here, and we popped right back to that support, right? That first little base after we rolled off the highs, and we rolled right back lower, right back down. A lot of good holds here, and we popped again. But you guys can see we're starting to trend down here, and this is what I mean by every good pop for now is just a better short opportunity. Really want to drive that in here. And again, guys, these things can change quickly, but as of now, we're starting to trend down and we just got to respect those rules. So for the market, again, we'll see what happens, but if it can start to pop back to this trend line and get through it, we are starting the journey of potentially reversing. Doesn't mean, this trend line is the end all. We really have to get through, just call it 4,500, in my opinion, for the market to be really, really, back to bullish and safe. Where if it continues to just pop here and hit resistance, again, I think it's a good opportunity to continue to short it until the market makes up its mind. But down below here, guys, really want to focus on, call it 4,300, that 4,260 from prior, and this big wick over here, that 4,224. If for some reason the market does roll over, that's the area that we want to start to target, right? That 4,300-ish, 4,293. That's just going to be a big key level and a big psychological level. Below that, we got 4,260, which is the low from, this last drop here. That's really where we're going to start to, scream if we break. And that's when I just see this next big support level. And again, not to speculate, but if we keep dropping lower, we get the 200-day simple down below here. Really, really like how the market's setting up. And remember, guys, we could just squeeze, right? Market is kind of holding up, right? It's not trending up, but it's not going lower. So if that does continue to happen, we could start to get into a daily squeeze here. We are getting into the midst of earnings season. We had a few banks, well, one bank report today and a few more on the way. We'll have to see. We're going to be prepared, but let's dive into a few, extra key levels here. And one extra thing that I want to add is the market's finally starting to squeeze nicely. And as of right now, we have a pretty good 2-hour squeeze, which looks like it could guide us in either direction. So let me throw on my actual drawing set here and let's talk about some key levels. So big key levels, guys, that I want to continue to keep an eye on. One is 43.16, which is a point of control level. Below that, we have 42.81. And remember, you want that 4,300 as well. And then that 42.60. And then a big level here that's been working for me for a very long time is this 43.56.5. This was our last month's point of control, if you're familiar with that tool. And I just really love how, those prior levels come into play. We fell here, we hopped back to it, we dived again, we hopped back to it, failed again, finally got through it, we held it, popped back to the trend line, broke it, fell that 43.16, back up, back down, back up. Really love it. So again, if we just kind of zoom in here in the recent price action, we're bouncing really nicely between two big key levels, that 43.56 and that 43.16. And now we're starting to squeeze. So we'll see, guys, where the squeeze ends up. But as of now, if it starts to fire through this 43.56, I'm going to be looking for a push back up towards that 43.93, call it 4,400, back up towards that trend line to, again, give the market another test. Okay, hop back here. I guess we're kind of looking for that push back to here. which again could set up a better short. Really just one step at a time. If this, then that. If it pushes here and breaks, it can explode to the next area. If it fails here and dives, we know what to do. But the fact that we're setting up a squeeze here into the end of the week gets me really excited because squeezes are one of my favorite setups because it keeps your bias out of it. You have really good levels. You have tight compression. Once it fires here, it should head here. If it fails here, drops back down, we could continue to see that range we've seen for the past few days, which in my opinion is just fine. There's a lot of opportunity to trade the markets while they're going up and down in these big ranges. But nothing's really changing until we crack here and head towards 4,400, or we break down that 43.16 and head to 43, and then that 42.81. So if we take a look here just from ATR, that 42.81 is about 75 points away. Not crazy to think we could get there by the end of the week. Vice versa, guys, back up towards that 4,400 is about 40 points. Nothing too crazy. Maybe even get back towards these recent highs. Call it 44.20. So looking for a 60 to 70 point push in either direction. Just going to let the market decide. I don't know. I don't care. But we have our triggers. We have our squeeze. Let's wait and see. What a rhyme. But anyways, guys, that is how I am seeing Mama Market. And one big thing I want to talk about here is on technology, aka NQ. This is the index right now that's really doing the best job of keeping the market afloat. If you just look at the, percent change here, ES had a pretty flat day while tech was up almost 1%. Really, really didn't want to go lower. So this is an index that we want to keep an eye on, where if the market is going to pop, it could be led by technology. And one big thing technically is I want to focus on this wedge, right? I love higher lows, really setting in bottoms. We set that first initial low, we set it again, we rallied back to the mean, and then we pulled back to point of control levels, back to that wedge, and we held here nicely. So keep watching tech, guys. Again, it's the index that's holding the market up right now. Therefore, it can drag it higher or it can drag it lower. So if it ends up breaking this wedge and breaking these weekly lows, I want to focus on a drop down towards these key levels. Call it 14,500. Has an ATR about 245 points. The zone, guys, is about, that ATR. Call it 300 to, 230 points away. Vice versa. If it can get through this little 814 level, then I see us popping back to this range. All right, pretty simple levels in front of us. And again, ATR of 245 gets it right back up to where we started this journey. So keep a close eye, guys, on technology. Going to share a setup here on a few tech names, which again are mainly to the upside because tech looks strong. But if these start to fail, just understand it could drag the market lower. And just like ES, we're getting a lot of squeezes here for the individual indexes. So let's just take a look here. Just like ES, we got this 2-hour squeeze, which, truly is trying to fire right now. So again, keep a close eye on this one if it wants to lead the way. If we do just chop, we could get to a 4-hour squeeze, but yeah, I would focus, guys, on the 2-hour, right? We got a good 2-hour on ES and NQ. Let's see if it leads the way. And then finally, to look at YM, if tech is leading, YM's bleeding, trying its best here to kind of stay afloat, right? It dropped and barely got to high a day while tech closed, through the highs. Big difference here. So just keep a close eye on this one, where if it treads lower, it can keep pulling the market. If it can stay afloat and start to bounce back, it can, help tech and ES start to rally. We just want to watch, guys, as always, for that rotation or selling, right? Are they buying something and selling others? If so, it is hard for the market to go lower. But when the market actually wants to go lower, you're going to see all three of those indexes heading lower. And that's what kind of makes it a clear picture. So with that being said, guys, I want to take a quick look at VIX, because again, this has just been an amazing compass that I'm just going to continue to use. Where very simply, when we break below 20 and start to head to 18, the market rallies. And when we top out, right, what I mean by this, guys, is let me pull up a daily chart here real quick on ES. You can see when we popped, right, around 10.7, 10.6-ish, this little range, that's when we got back down towards 18 and we held and we ripped to 20 and we dropped. You can see here, we're heading back to 18. So if we head back to 18, guys, right, the market can continue to pop towards this wedge. And if VIX holds 18, just like it did at the last time we were at the wedge, we can fade this. Where if VIX guys breaks 18 and heads lower, you're probably going to see the market break that wedge and head back to this consolidation range. Keep a very close eye on VIX here because again, it really helps you time the market. Where when it popped this week, VIX kind of, double bottom here, 18. Short that pop. When it gets to 20, if we can't get through 20, the market's going to start to pop a little bit. So we've been struggling to get here through 20 the past 2 days, and we've struggled to go a little bit lower. So again, if we head to 18 here, you can play that pop. But as soon as we get to 18 on VIX, we're going to be at these key levels, and we're going to have to make a decision, whether it's a good fade and VIX holds 18, or VIX breaks 18 and the market pops. I don't know. I don't care. We're going to have to see, guys. But VIX has been an awesome compass that I hope you've been using because I've been mentioning it quite a bit. Well, let's dive in here to a few setups. I got 3 names that I want to share today, and one of them is Roku. So Roku, a name that's been beat up quite a bit here, as of recent, the past few weeks, past few months. One thing, guys, to really note here, and this is a good lesson, when the market was going higher, they were selling Roku, right? They didn't care. Let's sell Roku. All indexes closed green. Roku got its butt kicked. Now what we're seeing, right? Inevitably, the market starts to get its butt kicked and Roku gets butt kicked even more. But while the market's been kind of vulnerable and just kind of going lower, Roku is not going lower. And it's actually trying to go higher, kind of doing the opposite yet again, where this is one, guys, that definitely looks strong. It had that pop last week, ran back to point of control, and it's just been consolidating here. I found a really good level of 319, and it's been holding it super, super well. You can see it a nice little wedge here today, broke it and fired nicely, right to that first target I had of about, call it 330. So the reason I like this one the best, guys, is because the 4-hour squeeze is just gorgeous, right? Beautiful pop, beautiful consolidation, held up the entire time in the market, and is now starting to move and groove, firing this 4-hour squeeze. If the market, guys, is strong tomorrow, technology, again, is showing that it wants to lead, and Roku should be able to kind of lead the way here, just like it's doing right now to the upside. So if Roku can clear this 329 tomorrow, I love a push towards 340, right? Roku has about a 12-point ATR. It's about 10, 11 points away. I really think it's as simple as break 330 can make a push to 340, especially with the 4-hour squeeze. So if we take a look here at Roku's option chain, really want to keep an eye, guys, on those 340s and those 335s. Now, those are kind of your best strikes here heading into the end of the week that are going to offer a decent risk reward if Roku can pop and send a 340. So we'll see where it opens. Maybe it takes a little bit of a dip, maybe it opens flat, maybe it gaps up. Got to see what we're working with here. But if it does gap up, I would love to look for a dip and then a rip. If it opens flat, I'd love for an opening rip. And if it opens lower, depends how low it goes. At most, I would give it 325, which is point of control. But if this is a real setup and this is real strong, it should either open flat and start to pop quickly or open above it and hopefully give a retest. And then again, go get that 340. Love this squeeze here on Roku. Looking good. Next setup, guys, Moderna, which is a very, very similar setup. If I just clean this up real quick. Here we go. You can see, guys, Moderna's, taking a really big drop. It's a huge, huge support. And it's taken a really good chance to sit here in base. If we take a look, it also started to form a really nice wedge. Beautiful wedge. Started to creep its way out of it, closed outside of it, and started to really fire nicely here today. And I'd love to see if Moderna could put in a day 2 from this 4-hour squeeze. So we hop into my drawing set, guys. My target for the week was to get to 325. And I actually had bought calls on Monday on this dip here and locked them up here at 325 today. 4-hour squeeze and wedge doing its job. What I would like to see, again, if this can see a day 2, usually 4-hour squeezes, if they make a continuation, usually can see 2 good days of work. So for Moderna, again, it got to my first target here around 325, which was a point of control level. And if it can just hold up this 318, right, that was kind of the biggest breakout point you need to get to. If it can hold 318 like it did here to close, about a 23-point ATR, this thing could rip. Not really, looking too far ahead, but if it can get back through 325, want to watch 330 as well. But I think through there, it's got a shot at 338, call it 340. All right. So if we look at the option chain for this one, guys, want to focus on the 340s and maybe even the 330s if they get a little bit cheaper here, just because of decay, right? So if we open sideways, the 330s and 340s, if the squeeze wants to see a day 2, could be a really nice option. And as of now, not really looking at downside just because it is starting to fire here. It's already been beat up. And I just want to see it rip or just go back to setting up personally. So that's what I'm watching, guys, on Moderna. Again, already kind of firing here. So be picky, but if it can keep holding, get back through that 325-ish, 326, 330 accelerator, I see 338 possible before the week ends. So again, I like the 330s, 335s, and 340s. Anything in this range here will get you some good risk reward if it does the job. And then the last setup I will be keeping an eye on is AMD. I don't want to keep an eye on too often, but it made the list today. So if you look at AMD, guys, setting up a really, really nice, downside wedge, flag, whatever you want to call this pattern. Really beautiful pennant, breaking out of it. Gapped out of it, held it, kind of like a Roku. It's not going lower right now. Looks like it wants to go higher. Broke a really nice support level today, and it closed above it. Very, very impressive. So if we take a look, not only is it breaking that, but it's trying to fire a daily squeeze here. I really like this setup if the market can support it. And again, guys, last time AMD popped, the market dumped and the move completely failed. So AMD might pop and the market might hit that wedge and they completely fail. So again, be careful with mama market, but these setups do look decent to the upside. Firing a squeeze, breaking this beautiful wedge, broke it, held it, broke through that 108 and held. So if we dive in here, here's what I'll look at, guys, for tomorrow or just the rest of the week. If it keeps holding this 108, love it. Ideally can get long off of it. If not, I want to look for that 110 break here and look for a push towards 112. All right, AMD doesn't have a huge ATR, about 3 points. So we're looking at about a, call it 2.5 point move. That's enough for AMD. I like that 111.7 target. So for AMD, it's a cheap stock. Therefore, I wouldn't go too far. I'd focus right around these ranges, guys. 110, 111 calls. You consider the 112s, but I think these are kind of your, best risk reward here. Just looking to get to these targets. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Nice setup. I really like it. But that's my thoughts, guys. I appreciate your time as always. If you aren't already, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, drop some love, and make sure you guys sign up for the newsletter as well. I do other videos outside of this where you can get a little more, knowledge, a little more prep, a little more setups throughout the week. So if you guys feel like you're missing out throughout the week and don't want, just the Wednesday update, we got a newsletter. So go check that out, guys, in the comments. But thanks again. I appreciate it. We covered all the indexes. We talked about VIX. We got good setups in Roku, Moderna, and AMD. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Go kick butt, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Focus Chain here with Simpler Trading. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything that we do. And if you want to see us trade our money live in real time, go to simplertrading.com and you can sign up for more. But happy trading, guys. Stay focused. I'll talk to you in the next video.